what was going on. We didn't understand the questions, and it cost a lot of money. But the part that I'm interested in is why I'd like to talk to those people who did support it, especially those people that kind of came out that we didn't recognize at meetings. They weren't familiar faces, but they had the energy and the drive to come out, to reach out to us. And I don't think we should let those people get away from us. You know, the more distance we put between what happened and the next time we do it, we will lose sight of some of those people. And so I'd like to find out why those people decided to support us. They had the same information as the no voters did, because that's the only information we put out, right? But for some reason, they showed up. And then, you know, once we get past the general thing, like, well, it's the kids that matter, those folks also had to decide that it was worth it to increase property taxes, it was worth it for the increase of their property value. I mean, and so I just like to make sure that while we're looking for all those no people, we don't lose sight of those yes votes. Because there were people that came out to the meetings at the American Legion that I didn't know who they were. And not that I know everybody in the district, but you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. I'm sure everybody had the opportunity to shake hands with somebody they hadn't met before. Mm-hmm. And I think those are the people I'd like to make sure we don't lose track of either.
Amy? I just want to remind people that when we met to decide whether or not we would go, Springstead told us, you need 7,000 votes to win this. And I'm amazed that they were absolutely right. Maybe they said 8,000. So based on their projection, the no votes were as we would expect. We just didn't do the job of getting the yes people to the polls, or enough yes people to the polls. So when we talk about communication, I think we did an okay job communicating. I think we were a little bit too late. You know, we were under a very stressful situation with communications because we were functioning down a person. But, you know, we tried to get as much information out as possible, but I think a lot of it came in right at the end. And I think some people needed a little more time so that they could then ask the questions. But, you know, all we can do from this point is look forward and make changes as we see fit. Because everybody worked, you know, Chuck was awarded the AMSD Friends of Education on Friday morning, and he did say something to the effect, you know, congratulations to those districts that did pass. And he explained how heartfelt he was to us for not passing because it's his home district, and you know, he was out there showing his support. But he also did say, you know, they worked just as hard as you did, which was kind of nice to hear, because we all here know how hard we worked to do the best we could, and can't lose sight of that.
I just wanted to share, I was at the 9/16 meeting the following day, and it was pretty tough to be in that audience since there was almost a majority of the board had elections the night before, whether they were school board or whether they were bonds or whatever. So I was kind of numb. It was hard for me to even articulate how I felt because it was a tough call. But I got a lot of suggestions on things that worked really well, things to consider, and so at some point I think it would be great to be able to share some of those ideas. I've had a lot of people reach out, I'd say at least a dozen or so that have contacted me with regards to the levy, whether they were for or against it. Some were very open about it, some were not. One of the key messages that I felt, regardless of what we decide to do as a district, it's imperative that we communicate with our legislators who we work so closely with, that do we need to work towards asking them to reduce or actually increase the amount of money that we could have voter approval for. That doesn't need voter approval for. Now we have the 424. You know, is there any way to increase that amount? And I've mentioned it to Christine, who sounds like she's got superintendents sharing kind of similar dialogues and conversations. So I think it's